Welcome. Tonight, we journey into the heart of ancient Japan, to a mountain Ryokan, where time moves with the falling rain and the swaying of bamboo. Before we begin, settle into your most comfortable position. Let your shoulders soften, release the tension in your jaw, and feel your body sinking deeper into rest. Take a slow, deep breath in and exhale, letting go of the day. You are safe, you are held, you are at peace. Now, let us begin. The day's journey falls away behind you as the mountain path narrows and rises, each step bringing you deeper into the embrace of the forest, deeper into the gathering twilight, deeper into a silence so complete it seems to have weight and texture, seems to press gently against your skin like cool water. The ancient stone pathway beneath your feet has been worn smooth by centuries of travelers, each stone fitted to its neighbor with such precision that no mortar binds them. Only time and the patient hand of moss that grows in the spaces between. Luminous green, even in this fading light, soft as velvet when your hand reaches out to steady yourself against a wet rock face. The air here is different than it was in the valley below. Thicker, laden with moisture that clings to your clothes and hair, scented with earth and decomposition and growth all at once. The smell of a forest that has been breathing and living and dying and being reborn for longer than memory can reach. Above you, around you, enclosing you in their ancient symmetry, the bamboo rises, stalk after stalk after countless stalk, creating walls of green that filter the last blue light of day into something softer, something almost liquid, a twilight that seems to emanate from the forest itself rather than from the sky. The bamboo moves in the evening breeze, swaying with a grace that seems almost deliberate, almost conscious. And as they sway, they speak, a hollow knocking sound, wood against wood, a rhythm that is neither regular nor random, a percussion that might be music, or might be language, or might be simply the sound of time passing in this place where time moves differently than it does in the world below. You pause in your walking to listen, and in that pause, you become aware of your own breathing, the way it has slowed and deepened without your noticing, the way it has begun to synchronize with the movement of the bamboo, with the rhythm of the forest itself. The rain begins as you round a curve in the path, so gently at first that you're not certain whether you're feeling rain or simply the condensation of mist on your skin. But then you hear it, the soft patter of drops on the 10,000 leaves above you, a sound like distant applause or like rice falling on paper. And within moments, the sound surrounds you completely, the rain finding its way down through layer after layer of bamboo canopy, taking its time, arriving in scattered drops rather than sheets, each drop cool and distinct on your upturned face. The scent of the rain mingles with the scent of the forest, petrichor rising from the stones, the sweetness of wet bamboo, the deeper musk of moss receiving water, and you breathe it in, this perfume of rain and stone and living green, and something in your chest releases, some tightness you didn't know you were carrying. The stone lanterns appear one by one along the path as the darkness deepens. Ishidoro of weathered granite and carved stone, each one covered in moss that glows an almost supernatural green in the warm amber light emanating from within. Light that seems impossibly warm and welcoming against the cool blue of twilight and rain. Someone has lit these lanterns for you, has walked this path ahead of you to ensure that you would not arrive in darkness. And this small act of care, this evidence of thoughtfulness and preparation, fills you with a gratitude so profound it's almost painful. The lantern light reflects in the puddles forming on the pathway, doubling and multiplying, creating pools of warm gold among the wet stones, and you find yourself walking more slowly now, not from fatigue, but from a desire to extend this moment, this threshold time between the world you left behind and whatever awaits you ahead. And then, through the mist and the gentle rain and the crossing stalks of bamboo, you see it. The Ryokan, emerging from the forest like something from a dream or a memory, its traditional tiled roof dark and gleaming with rain, its wooden walls the color of aged cedar, and behind its shoji screens, visible even from here, the warm glow of interior light, steady and patient and waiting for you to complete these final steps, waiting to receive you into shelter, into warmth, into the deep quietness that lives at the heart of these ancient mountains. The heavy wooden door slides open with a whisper that seems impossibly quiet after the sound of rain, a sound so soft it's almost a sigh, and immediately you're aware of crossing a boundary, of stepping from one world into another, from the wild, breathing darkness of the mountain forest into a space that has been shaped by human hands and human intention over generations, shaped and refined and polished until every element exists in perfect relationship to every other element. The threshold rises before you, a single step up from the stone entryway where rain still glistens, and for a moment you simply stand there, one foot in the outside world and one reaching toward the interior, suspended between the sound of falling rain behind you and the profound silence that waits ahead. A silence so complete it seems to hum with its own presence. Your hands move to your footwear almost without conscious thought, the gesture so natural and right in this space that it feels less like following a custom and more like responding to the place itself, to what it asks of you. And as you slip free of your rain-dampened shoes, you feel the layers of the outside world falling away with them. The rush and noise and speed of everything you left behind to come here. The shoes find their place in the getabako, the wooden shoe cupboard that lines one wall of the genkan, its compartments precisely sized and arranged, the wood polished smooth by countless hands over countless years. And beside your humble footwear, you notice house slippers waiting, uabaki of soft woven fabric, positioned perfectly as though they had been expecting you, as though they knew exactly when you would arrive. The wood beneath your feet, even through the thin fabric of your socks, feels cool and somehow alive, smooth as river stone, but warmer, more responsive, and you realize you're standing on hinoki cypress, Japanese cypress, aged to a deep honey color, its grain flowing in subtle patterns that catch the light, its surface polished not just by tools, but by the passage of feet, by decades, or perhaps centuries of arrival and departure, of crossing and recrossing this threshold between outside and inside, between the journey and its destination. The coolness of the wood travels up through your feet and into your legs, and it's not an uncomfortable sensation, but rather a wakeful one, a gentle reminder of presence, of being here, now, in this body, in this moment, in this place. A figure appears from the interior shadows, moving with such quiet grace that you're not certain whether you saw movement or simply became aware of a presence that had always been there. And they bow. A bow that is neither hurried nor prolonged, but perfectly calibrated. A bow that manages to convey welcome and respect and a kind of gentle formality all at once. And you find yourself returning the bow without thinking, your body understanding the language of this gesture, even if your mind doesn't quite know the grammar. No words are spoken, or perhaps a few words are murmured in soft Japanese, words you don't need to understand because their meaning is carried in the tone, in the quality of attention that accompanies them. And then there is something being offered to you, held out with both hands. An oshibori, a small towel, and even before you take it, you can see the steam rising from its folded surface in delicate wisps and spirals. The towel arrives in your hands with a weight that surprises you, the dampness of it, the heat radiating through the white cotton fabric. And when you unfold it and press it first to your face, the sensation is so exquisite, so perfectly what you needed without knowing you needed it, that you feel your eyes close involuntarily, feel your breath slow and deepen as the warmth spreads across your skin. You wipe your hands with the towel, slowly, deliberately, feeling the day's journey, the mountain path, the rain, all of it being gently cleansed away, and the simple cotton fabric feels like silk against your palms, against the backs of your hands, between your fingers. The heat from the oshibori seems to penetrate beyond your skin, reaching into muscles and joints, into places that were holding tension you hadn't noticed. And as that tension releases, you become aware of how much you were carrying, how tight you had become, and how good it feels to let that tightness go. The genkan stretches before you into a corridor of polished wood and softly glowing andon lanterns, their paper shades casting warm amber light that pools on the floor and climbs the walls in gentle gradations. And already you can smell it, the scent that will come to define this place in your memory, the smell of aged tatami mats, the sweetness of woven igusa rush grass, the deeper woody notes of cedar beams and hinoki pillars, and underneath it all, something else, something harder to name, perhaps simply the smell of quietness, of a space that has been holding silence for so long that silence has become part of its structure, part of its substance, part of the air itself. The corridor extends before you like a meditation in wood and light, each step along its polished hinoki surface a small ceremony of arrival, and your guide moves ahead with footsteps so soft they barely exist as sound, more a whisper of fabric against wood than anything you would call walking. The andon lanterns punctuate the corridor at precise intervals, their warm amber glow steady and patient, and between each pool of light there exists a deeper shadow that softens your vision. Your guide pauses, kneels with quiet grace, and slides open a shoji screen, and the sound of it, that soft whisper of wood against wood, of paper and frame moving in their ancient track, fills the corridor with a rightness that settles something in your chest. The screen glides open to reveal your room, and even before you step across the threshold, the scent reaches you. The unmistakable perfume of tatami, that smell of dried igusa rush grass, sweet and green and faintly earthy, like summer meadows compressed, and you step into the room, and the tatami receives your weight with a whisper, the slightest give beneath your feet, and you can feel through your socks the woven surface of the mats, their rectangular forms fitted together with borders of black cloth. 6 mats arranged in the traditional pattern, their golden green surface glowing softly in the light filtering through the shoji. The tokonoma alcove draws your eyes to a kakejiku scroll, its silk aged to a warm cream color, and upon it a single character brushed in black ink, speaking of emptiness or the spaces between things, while below it a simple ceramic vase holds a single plum branch with 3 small buds not yet opened. The ikebana arrangement minimal and perfect. The low table waits at the room's center, lacquered black and smooth as still water, and you kneel upon a zabuton cushion, settling into the traditional seiza position as your spine lengthens and your breath deepens. The scent of the tatami rises more intensely now, mingling with the faint woody fragrance of the shoji screens and the deeper, aged timber scent of the ceiling beams above. And beneath all of these, you detect the queer. Your guide kneels across from you, hands resting quietly on their thighs for a moment, allowing the room to gather you fully into the present. Then, with movements so deliberate they seem to unfold in a time outside of time, they lift the chawan tea bowl with both hands, placing it before you on the world. Your guide lifts the hishaku ladle and dips it into a ceramic vessel of steaming water, the surface occasionally disturbed by heat rising from below, and pours the hot water into the chawan with precision. The sound is soft and liquid, intimate in the profound quiet of the room. Then comes the chastened bamboo whisk, its fine tines curved inward, and your guide positions it in the center and begins the swift back and forth motion, a rhythmic whisking that fills the space with a whispering hush. Gradually, the water and powder transform, becoming foam, a crown of tiny bubbles that holds the green in a luminous, creamy surface. At last, the whisking slows and stops, and your guide lifts the chasen away. The completed bowl of tea sits before you, its surface a delicate landscape of pale green peaks and valleys. You receive the chawan with both hands, feeling the warmth radiating through the ceramic, and bring it closer to your face. The scent rises, earthy, vegetal, faintly sweet, and you tip the bowl slowly, letting matcha touch your lips. The taste blooms across your tongue, bitter and sweet at once, deep and clean, and the warmth spreads through your chest. You lower the bowl, and there is silence, profound and complete, a silence that holds your breath, the soft rain beyond the screens, and the ancient mountains around this ryokan. Another sip, and another, and between each one, the stillness deepens, as though the room itself is listening with you. The tea settles into your body like a warmth that reaches beyond the physical, a kind of wakefulness that is also relaxation. And in this state of quiet attention, your eyes begin to wander across the room, drawn to the shoji screens that line one wall, their translucent paper glowing with the diffuse light of afternoon rain. Your guide has withdrawn so quietly you didn't notice the departure, leaving you alone with the silence, with the space, with the particular quality of this moment that exists only once and will never come again. You rise from the zabuton cushion and move toward the shoji screens, your hand finding the edge of the panel, the small recessed pull, and you draw it open slowly, the wood whispering in its track. Cool air flows in to meet you, air that smells of rain and earth and growing things, air that has traveled down from the mountains to arrive here. At this threshold between the cultivated warmth of the room and the carefully composed stillness of the garden beyond. The garden reveals itself as the screen opens wider, and what you see takes your breath away through a quietness so profound it seems to have weight and form. The ground is covered entirely in moss, a carpet of green so luminous it seems almost to generate its own light. Dozens of shades from yellow-green to forest dark, growing in thick cushions that cover every surface. The earth, the bases of stones, climbing partway up the trunk of a maple tree whose bare branches spread like calligraphy against the gray sky. The rain falls steadily but gently, each drop visible as it touches the moss and disappears into that soft surface. And the sound of it creates a texture in the air, a fabric woven from thousands of individual impacts. Water meeting moss, water meeting stone, water meeting the broad leaves of ferns growing in careful clusters near the garden's edges. A stone water basin, a tsukubai, sits low to the ground near the center, its surface darkened by rain and age, and water collects in its carved depression, fed by a bamboo pipe that releases a steady trickle. Each drop creates concentric circles that spread outward and fade and are replaced by new circles, an endless rhythm of disturbance and settling, movement and stillness. Near the basin stands a weathered stone lantern, its surfaces covered in lichen and moss, its top slightly tilted, as though the earth beneath has shifted over centuries. And this imperfection makes it more beautiful, evidence of time passing and the patient work of weather and growth. The river stones that punctuate the moss have been placed with such care that each seems inevitable, exactly where it must be, their surfaces smooth and dark with rain, arranged to lead the eye through the garden in a path not for walking, but for contemplation, a visual journey that begins at the nearest stone and travels past the water basin and up to the maple trunk, and finally into the gray vastness of the rainy sky itself. The coolness of the air touches your face and hands, carrying not just the scent of rain, but of moss and wet stone and bamboo, a perfume so complex you find yourself breathing more deeply, drawing it in, recognizing that the beauty lies in the blending of these elements into something that could only be called the smell of this place, this garden, this particular arrangement brought together in service of stillness. A droplet falls from the eave above and lands on the wooden threshold with a sound like a tiny bell, clear and bright. And then another falls, and another, each one distinct, each one perfect. You kneel at the threshold, one hand resting on the wooden frame, your body half in the warm interior and half reaching toward the cool exterior. And you simply watch, simply breathe, allowing the garden to exist in your awareness without trying to understand or possess it. And in this watching, something in you slows even further, begins to move in rhythm with the rain, with the patient growth of moss, with the ancient stillness of stone, until there is just this: rain falling, moss receiving, breath moving in and out, and the profound quiet that holds everything in its embrace. The afternoon deepens into early evening, the light shifting from gray to a deeper blue-gray that speaks of approaching dusk, and you become aware of a gentle stirring in the corridor beyond your room, the soft presence of your guide returning. When the shoji slides open, there is a wordless invitation in the slight bow, in the gesture toward the path. The path takes you through a small changing room where a cotton yukata has been laid out with careful precision, where a wooden bucket waits beside a low stool, and beyond this room, you can see through an open doorway the steam rising into the cooling air, can smell the mineral richness of the water, sulfur and stone, and something anciently volcanic, drawn up from deep within the earth. You undress slowly, folding each garment with attention, and the air against your bare skin is cool enough to raise awareness of every exposed surface, a reminder of the body's boundaries, of where you end and the world begins. The outer bath area is enclosed by a tall bamboo fence that provides privacy while allowing glimpses of the forest beyond. And the onsen itself is lined with smooth river stones, their surfaces dark and gleaming with mineral deposits. Steam rises from the surface in lazy spirals and veils, drifting upward to mingle with the evening mist descending from the mountain. And the rain has softened to the finest drizzle, barely more than moisture in the air, each tiny droplet visible as it passes through the steam and catches what little light remains in the sky. You approach the water slowly, dipping the wooden bucket to rinse your body in preparation, the warmth shocking against your cooled skin. And then you descend the stone steps into the bath. The sensation of immersion stops your breath, heat enveloping your feet, your ankles, your calves, rising with each careful step until you are seated on the submerged stone bench and the water reaches your shoulders. The mineral-rich liquid, slightly milky in appearance, holding you in its heat like an embrace that asks nothing, that simply offers itself completely. The temperature dances at that edge where heat becomes almost too much, but never quite crosses it, and your skin flushes pink, blood rushing to the surface, every pore opening, and you can feel the tension of travel, of the day, of years perhaps, beginning to release from muscles you didn't know were holding it. Your head rests back against the smooth stone edge of the bath, and you gaze upward at the darkening sky visible through the rising steam, at the silhouettes of pine branches reaching across that vast gray-blue expanse, and you breathe deeply, drawing in the mineral-scented air, the coolness of evening mixing with the heat rising from the water. The only sounds are the gentle drip of condensation from the bamboo fence, the soft movement of water as you settle deeper into stillness, and somewhere distant, the trickling of the stream that runs through the Ryokan grounds, its voice constant and patient and older than memory. Around you, the mountain holds its silence, the forest breathes with rain, and the ancient heated water continues its patient work of dissolving boundaries between your body and the stone, between your awareness and the vast quiet evening, between effort and surrender, until there is only warmth, only breath, only this perfect suspension in heat and stillness and the gathering dark. The water releases you reluctantly, your body rising from the heat with a heaviness that speaks of deep relaxation. And as you emerge into the evening air, the coolness touches your flushed skin with a sensation so distinct, so clarifying, that you feel the exact boundary where warmth ends and cool begins. Feel the way steam rises from your shoulders as though your body itself has become a source of heat radiating into the twilight. In the changing room, you find a small cotton towel, and you dry yourself with slow, deliberate movements, feeling the texture of the fabric against skin that has been softened by mineral water. Then you turn your attention to the yukata that waits for you, folded with such precision that unfolding it becomes a kind of ceremony. The cotton is indigo dyed, deep blue, the fabric soft from many washings, worn to a perfect suppleness. You slip your arms into the wide sleeves, feeling the coolness of the cotton against your warm skin, a contrast that brings pleasure in its simplicity. And you wrap the left side across your body first, then the right side over it, securing it with the obi sash until the yukata is closed but not tight, allowing air to circulate, allowing the body to be. You return to your room along the corridor, your feet soft in the house slippers, and you find that the space has been transformed. The low table has been quietly removed, and in its place the futon has been laid out directly on the tatami, a thick, cotton-filled mattress covered with crisp white sheets, smoothed to perfect flatness, not a wrinkle visible. At the head rests a pillow filled with buckwheat hulls, firm and shapeable, and layered over the sheets is a light cotton blanket and then a heavier coverlet, both folded back in invitation. You kneel beside the futon, your hand reaching out to touch the bedding, feeling the weight of the coverlet, the smoothness of the sheets, and you can smell the faint scent of sun-dried cotton, clean and simple, mingling with the ever-present fragrance of the tatami beneath. The andon lamp in the corner has been dimmed to its lowest setting, casting a soft amber glow that creates more shadow than illumination. And through the shoji screens, you can hear the rain continuing its gentle fall, a rhythm You slide between the sheets, the fabric cool against your skin for just a moment before your body's warmth begins to transfer into it, and you settle onto your back, feeling the firm support of the tatami beneath the futon, neither hard nor soft, but perfectly balanced, cradling your spine in alignment, allowing your shoulders to release, your hips to sink, your legs to lengthen and relax completely. The buckwheat pillow adjusts to the shape of your head with a soft rustling sound, the hulls shifting and settling, creating a perfect support. You draw the coverlet up to your shoulders, feeling its gentle weight, and your hands emerge to rest on top of the blanket. And you lie there in the dim glow of the andon, listening to the rain, breathing in the scent of tatami and clean cotton, feeling the yukata loose around your body and the futon firm beneath you. And everything, every element, every detail, conspires toward one purpose, one invitation, one simple, profound offering. Rest. The darkness deepens around you, not the absolute darkness of a sealed room, but the living darkness of night in the mountains, textured by shadow and the faintest suggestions of light. The dim glow of the andon lamp creating a small pool of amber in the corner, the barely perceptible luminescence that seems to emanate from the shoji screens, as though the paper itself holds some memory of daylight. Your eyes remain open for a time, gazing upward at the wooden ceiling beams that cross above you, their grain patterns flowing in subtle currents like water frozen in wood. And you trace these patterns until your focus softens and they become abstract, simply dark lines against a slightly less dark surface. The rain continues its patient falling, and now that you are lying still, now that your body has settled and your breathing has slowed, you begin to hear the rain not as a single sound, but as a composition of many sounds layered upon each other. The softer patter on the moss in the garden, the slightly sharper strikes against the curved tiles of the roof above, the musical dripping from the eaves onto stone, each drop finding a different surface and creating a different tone. Together, these sounds weave into something that is both rhythm and melody, both pattern and randomness, a night song that has been playing since before you arrived and will continue long after you've gone. Beneath the rain, you can hear other sounds, deeper and more subtle. The occasional settling of old wooden beams as the Ryokan adjusts to the cooling night air, a creak so soft it's almost imagined. Somewhere in the garden, or perhaps in the forest beyond, a cricket offers a single clear chirp, then silence, then another chirp, its voice bright and small against the larger texture of rainfall. The stream that runs through the Ryokan grounds continues its eternal murmuring, the sound of water over stone, constant and variable all at once. And you can distinguish different voices within that flow, the deeper rumble where water moves over larger rocks, the lighter tinkling where it runs shallow and quick. Your breath has synchronized with these rhythms without your trying, each inhalation drawing in the cool air scented with tatami and rain and night, each exhalation releasing deeper into the futon's embrace. And you notice how the warmth has begun to pool beneath the coverlet, your body's heat gathering in the space between your skin and the cotton, creating a cocoon of perfect temperature. Your shoulders have melted into the futon, your spine has lengthened along its surface, your hips rest heavy and still, and your legs extend with a weightlessness that makes them seem to dissolve into the general warmth and comfort. The boundaries of the room seem to expand and soften, the walls becoming less solid, and you have the sensation of being held, not just by the futon and the tatami, but by the room itself, by the Ryokan, by the mountain, by the ancient night that surrounds all of this in its vast, patient darkness. Your thoughts, which were words and images just moments ago, have become softer now, less formed, drifting like mist, appearing and dissolving without leaving traces, without requiring attention or response. The andon lamp dims further, or perhaps your eyes are closing. Perhaps the light and the darkness are becoming the same thing, becoming simply the gentle field in which consciousness floats, untethered, held in the rhythm of rain and breath, moving slowly toward the threshold where waking ends and sleep begins. That border country where you still know you are here, but here has become everywhere and nowhere all at once, has become simply the infinite softness of letting go. There is only breath now, rising and falling like the gentlest tide. And even that is fading into the background, becoming less something you do and more something that simply happens, that moves through you the way wind moves through bamboo, present but requiring nothing, asking nothing, simply being. The rain continues somewhere outside the dissolving boundaries of your awareness, its sound no longer distinct, but woven into the fabric of the darkness itself, inseparable from the silence it punctuates. And you understand now that silence and sound are not opposites, but aspects of the same vast stillness, the same deep quiet that holds everything. The futon beneath you has ceased to be a separate thing. You cannot tell anymore where your body ends and the softness begins, cannot locate the precise point of contact between your shoulder and the cotton, between your spine and the firm support of tatami below. There is only support, only holding, only the sensation of being cradled by something larger than yourself, something that asks nothing in return for this perfect care. The warmth of the coverlet is no longer warmth you can point to or measure, but rather the absence of cold, the presence of comfort, a state so complete it becomes invisible, becomes simply the condition of being. Your heartbeat, which you were aware of some time ago, how long? Minutes? Hours? Has faded from perception, or perhaps it has slowed to match the ancient rhythm of the mountains themselves, the patient pulse of stone and earth and growing things, a tempo so slow it exists beyond the range of conscious noticing. Ma, the Japanese call it, the interval between things, the space that gives meaning to what surrounds it, and you are suspended in that ma now, floating in the pause between one breath and the next, between one moment and its successor, between being awake and being asleep. And this suspension is not uncomfortable, but rather the most natural state you have ever known. The room around you has become suggestion rather than solid form. You sense rather than see the shoji screens, sense rather than feel the tatami. And these things are present not as objects, but as qualities, as essences, as the distilled idea of shelter and simplicity and carefully considered space. The Ryokan breathes with you, its old wooden bones expanding and contracting with changes in temperature and humidity. And you are part of that breathing now, part of the building's patient existence in this place it has occupied for generations, will occupy for generations more, holding travelers like you in its quiet embrace night after night after countless night. Mu, the void, the emptiness that is also fullness, the nothing that contains everything, and you are dissolving into it now. Your thoughts no longer forming as words, but as wordless knowing, as the felt sense of peace that has no name and needs no explanation. The mountain holds the Ryokan. The Ryokan holds the room. The room holds the futon. The futon holds your body. Your body holds your breath. Your breath holds the silence. The silence holds everything and nothing, holds the space between raindrops, holds the darkness between stars, holds you in this moment of perfect surrender. The rain falls, the bamboo sways, the stream flows over ancient stones, and you are held, and you are safe, and you are dissolving into sleep like ink into water, becoming transparent, becoming nothing, becoming everything, becoming only this: breath, warmth, darkness, peace.